I always use this quote that it really tries to, and as executives, the fact that you're even in this room means that you have a beginner's mind. But in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Now, what does that mean? An expert's mind is, that's not the way we do it here. We've tried that before. It's not going to work. I don't know if our culture will do it. I don't know if we can get our people to rally around it. And I'm sure you've been in meetings where if you're sitting in a room and someone is not there that day and you're making a decision about something and someone else says, oh, I know what he or she will say, then you have groupthink going on, right? And when groupthink goes on, you have an expert mindset. You have a fixed mindset. Very difficult for a new, bless you, very difficult for sort of somebody with a new idea or a different way of doing something to sort of inject that idea and get the rest of the organization or the rest of that team or the rest of that room to embrace that. That is the difference between sort of this beginner's mind and an expert's mind. So employees carry the torch every day of the values and mission of their company. So if your employees are unhappy and you've got a mission of happiness or you've got a mission of goodness or caring, what's the problem? You know, air travel gets a bad rap, right? Like, do you say that the gate agents are happy and the flight attendants are happy? You know, most people would say no. And so then does it make our experience good? No. Delta Airlines was just named one of the best places to work, top 5. I am an American Airlines flyer. I have a concierge key on American Airlines. I fly about 250,000 miles a year on that airline. I flew a Delta flight. First Delta flight I've probably flown in 5 years, about 2 months ago. It was such a markedly better experience than the experience I have with American, and I'm just like, I can't switch airlines now, I'm in. Like, you know, the loyalty bucket is really full, right? I just couldn't switch. I mean, Delta would have to say, switch, we'll take all your miles, like we'll match the service. It just, yeah, unfortunately. But what I give there is that they made a conscious investment on trying to change that experience for the employee, because then what happens is the passengers have a better experience. The cleaning crew, they're like, look, it wasn't owned by us, but planes not being clean was one of the top 3 things people would complain about. So what if we did something for the cleaning crew that cleans our planes? You know what I'm saying? Like, just really paying attention. They are the keepers. They are the ones that handle that. And the expectation of your employees is rising. Again, not an HR administrative conversation, but they want you to know them. They want you to train and guide them. I remember when I first became a manager, the reward for high-performing salespeople, which I was to become a sales manager. Right. Not always good. 6 years later, maybe we should give Tiffani some management training. Maybe. So for 6 years, I was a disaster, right? Because I didn't know how to run a one-on-one. I didn't know how to do the things that I was expected to do. I just ran that sales team the way I was run, which was run by someone who was a good performer who got raised to management. So we just kind of created this hamster wheel of bad behavior, and we were burning everybody out. So make sure you're training, recognize me, coach me, stretch me. More important than anything else is inspire me. You want people to follow you because you've inspired them to follow you, not they follow you because you pay them to follow you, right? Or that you sort of hold the keys to their future success. You want them to be like, I would absolutely run through a wall for that person because they know me, train and guide me, recognize me, coach me, stretch me. I would run through a wall for them, right? Versus, yeah, they're my boss. They told me that's what I need to do, so that's what I'm going to do. When you have disengagement from your employees, projects are late, work isn't done complete, maybe they didn't have and do really great collaboration, and so the product is off the mark. It can cost, this is a study that was done for the S&P, $228 million a year and can be much higher depending on how large your organization is. And so if people just are like, I'm just quiet quitting, if you've got an organization that's full of quiet quitters, or they're working from home and they're actually working 2 jobs, and they're not committed, and they're disengaged, it's costing you a lot of money. And so the only way to know that would be to survey your employees. And I'm sure all of you survey your employees at least once a year. During COVID, that probably maybe increased a little bit. But what we found from the research is even though most organizations, like in the low 90%, will survey their employees at least once a year, almost 85% of companies say they don't know what to do with the data once they get it. So then they don't do anything with it. And so if you don't do anything with the data, what does it say to your people? I asked you, you answered, we did nothing. We don't care. Exactly. We don't care. And then that drives disengagement. Organizations which employees are primarily motivated by shared values, like what is the value and vision of the organization? Do I align to that? So if I'm really interested in DE&I, do they have activities there? Do they track it? Do they measure it? Do they use it? Do they use it as a recruitment tool? And do they not just talk about it, but do they live it? I want to work somewhere where they value sustainability or they value the planet. And so they're trying to drive out, the toxins in their product portfolio. Like, I align to that. Do they, are the values about creating smiles and growing children and, being great at healthcare? Whatever your vision is for the organization, as employees, do I align with it? If it doesn't align with my values, I'll leave. And for sure, this is the first time we've had 5 generations working at the same time. This new generation absolutely cares about this. And they will leave an organization and they will go to an organization and they will actually say, I'm okay getting paid a little bit less because I believe in their mission. I'll volunteer my time, whatever it is. So they're far more likely to have high customer satisfaction when employees are aligned to the vision and values, right? Because it manifests itself, if I'm more satisfied and I'm more engaged and I'm more willing, clients will notice it. If employee experience is a top priority for you, companies in this research study saw 1.3 times growth in their client satisfaction KPIs over those that don't. Okay, so strong EX gives you higher client satisfaction, right? Employee experience. On the flip side, if you have customer experience as a top priority, you see a 1.4 times growth in the employee satisfaction, right? So if you don't have customers yelling at you all the time, your employees hopefully are a little bit happier, right? Now, if you get both right, you see a 1.8x improvement in a 3-year compounded annual growth rate, or CAGR. Now, what the graph on the right is showing, and in that particular report, it's plotted with all these companies. They're publicly traded. You can see the names of them in the book. But what it's showing you is that we just went out and found publicly available information. What's their Glassdoor rating? What's their NPS score? What's their growth rates? Like, we just went out and found, because it's all publicly traded, all US. And you can see in each of those quadrants, people have growth rates in the 4-5% range. Again, a 3-year CAGR. But when you do both right and the right, it's an 8%. 8-point-something% growth rate. You believe in the vision, like that's why this is a flywheel. It becomes a flywheel, right? But to be really clear, the flywheel has to start with employee. When we went, this was our first study. And when we went into the first study, we thought it could start either way. We came out the first study, we still believed it could start either way. By the time we got to the second study and we actually found causation, which if we're not the first, we're second. But I think we're the first because we couldn't find anybody else that actually proved causation between the employee experience impacting customer experience and growth.